He ruled the most powerful empire in human history. He commanded armies, controlled nations, and held the fate of millions in his hands. And every single morning, before he faced any of it, he sat alone and wrote three words to himself: "This will be hard." Not because he was afraid, because he had discovered a secret so brutal, so counterintuitive, that most people spend their entire lives running from it. By the end of this video, that secret will be yours. He ruled the most powerful empire in human history. He commanded armies, controlled nations, and held the fate of millions in his hands. And every single morning, before he faced any of it, he sat alone and wrote three words to himself: "This will be hard." Not because he was afraid, because he had discovered a secret so brutal, so counterintuitive, that most people spend their entire lives running from it. By the end of this video, that secret will be yours. Marcus Aurelius was not born great. He was not born into a life of ease that made greatness simple. He inherited an empire in crisis. There was plague, there was war, there were betrayals from people he trusted completely. He buried 8 of his children. He fought battles on frozen frontiers while his body was failing him. And through all of it, through every loss, every betrayal, every night when the weight of the world was literally resting on his shoulders, he did not break. He did not rage. He did not collapse. He kept going, with clarity, with discipline, with a calmness that his enemies found terrifying. And the reason he could do that, the reason he never fell apart when everything around him was falling apart, comes down to one secret: a practice, a philosophy, a way of seeing the world that weak people despise because it demands everything from you while promising nothing in return except strength. Let us begin. Most people spend their lives engineering comfort. They take the easier path. They avoid the hard conversation. They delay the difficult decision. They choose the warm bed over the early morning. Marcus Aurelius did the opposite, every single day, deliberately. He wrote in his meditations, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I am going to do what I was born for?'" He was not motivating himself. He was reminding himself that discomfort was not the enemy. Discomfort was the training ground. Modern neuroscience has confirmed what he instinctively understood. When you voluntarily face difficulty, when you choose hard over easy, your brain releases norepinephrine and dopamine in a way that builds long-term resilience. You are literally rewiring your capacity to handle pressure every time you choose not to run from it. The people who fear this secret are the ones who have decided their comfort is more important than their potential, and that decision costs them everything. This is the one that disturbs most people. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius would sit quietly and visualize everything that could go wrong that day. The meetings that would fail, the people who would betray him, the plans that would fall apart. He called this practice premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. And it was not pessimism. It was preparation. The Stoics understood something that modern psychology is only now proving. When you have mentally rehearsed a negative outcome before it happens, your emotional response to it is dramatically reduced when it does happen. Researchers at New York University found that people who imagined worst-case scenarios before high-stakes events performed significantly better than those who only imagined success. Because the brain cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Marcus Aurelius was doing exposure therapy 2,000 years before the term existed. He was stripping bad events of their power to surprise him. And when you are never surprised by difficulty, difficulty loses its ability to stop you. There's a line in the Meditations that has changed more lives than almost anything else ever written. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Read that again. What stands in the way becomes the way. Most people treat obstacles as proof that they should stop. Marcus Aurelius treated obstacles as the actual substance of his work. Not problems to solve before the real work begins, the work itself. Think about what this means for your life. Every time you have hit a wall, every time something has blocked your path, delayed your plan, shattered your expectation, you have been looking at it wrong. You have been seeing it as the interruption. But Marcus Aurelius saw it as the opportunity. The philosopher Ryan Holiday turned this single idea into an entire book read by millions of people worldwide. Because it is that powerful, because it transforms everything. When the obstacle becomes the way, there is nothing left to fear. There is only work to be done. Marcus Aurelius never blamed his circumstances, not once, not in any of his private writings, writings that were never meant to be read by anyone else, which means they are the most honest record we have of how he actually thought. He did not blame the plague for killing his children. He did not blame the soldiers who betrayed him. He did not blame the philosophers who criticized his rule. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Weak people fear this idea because accepting it means surrendering the most comfortable excuse they have, that their life is someone else's fault, that their failure was caused by something outside them, that if only circumstances had been different, they would be different too. Marcus Aurelius rejected this completely, not because his circumstances were easy, they were catastrophic, but because he understood that the moment you hand your power to your circumstances, you have nothing left. You become a passenger in your own life. Ownership is brutal. Ownership is terrifying. And ownership is the only thing that actually works. There is a trap that destroys more potential than almost anything else. It is comparison. Comparing yourself to other people, to their success, their timeline, their appearance, their status. Marcus Aurelius never did this. He wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of what you have not, but count the blessings actually present, and think how much you would have wanted them if they were not already yours." He measured himself against one person only, the version of himself he was capable of becoming. Not the person next to him, not the person ahead of him, himself. This is the secret that weak people fear most of all. Because if you measure yourself only against your own potential, there is nowhere to hide. You cannot console yourself with the fact that you are doing better than someone else. You can only ask the one question that actually matters. Am I becoming who I am capable of becoming? Every day that you do not ask that question is a day stolen from the life you could be living. The Stoics had a practice called memento mori, remember that you will die. Not as a morbid obsession, as a clarifying force. Marcus Aurelius carried this awareness with him constantly. He wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." When you truly internalize the fact that your time is finite, that this specific day will never come again, every complaint becomes smaller. Every petty conflict becomes smaller. Every excuse to delay the life you actually want becomes smaller. And every moment of genuine effort, genuine courage, genuine love becomes infinitely larger. Steve Jobs said something similar 2,000 years later. "Remembering that I am going to die is the best tool I have ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important." Marcus Aurelius lived this every day, and it made him unshakable. Here is the final secret, and it is the most important of all. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man on earth. And every night, he sat alone and wrote about how he needed to be better, more patient, more disciplined, more honest, more present. He never arrived. He never decided he was done. He never allowed himself the comfort of thinking he had nothing left to learn. He wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." He held himself to a standard that had no ceiling. And that is the thing about truly strong people. They are never finished. They are always in the process of becoming. Weak people fear this idea because it means the work never ends. Strong people love it. because it means the growth never ends either. The moment you stop working on yourself is the moment you start dying slowly inside. Marcus Aurelius chose differently every single day of his life until the very end. 7 secrets. One man, 2,000 years ago, and every single one of them applies to your life right now. Choose difficulty on purpose. Visualize the worst before it arrives. Treat every obstacle as the material of your work. Own everything. Measure yourself only against who you can become. Remember that your time is limited, and never stop working on yourself. This is not ancient history. This is the operating system of every person who has ever built something that lasts. The question is not whether these secrets work. They've been proven across 20 centuries. The question is whether you are willing to do what weak people refuse to do, and live them. 00 to 030. Hook. 030 to 2. Introduction. Who Marcus Aurelius really was. 2 to 430. Secret 1. He chose difficulty on purpose. 4:30 to 7 o'clock. Secret 2. Negative visualization every morning. 7 o'clock to 9:30. Secret 3. Obstacles as the material of work. 9:30 to 12 o'clock. Secret 4. Radical ownership without self-pity. 12 o'clock to 14:30. Secret 5. Measured against who he could become. 14:30 to 17 o'clock. Secret 6. Death as his daily companion. 17 o'clock to 19 o'clock. Secret 7. Never stopped working on himself. 1900 to 2000. Outro plus CTA. Marcus Aurelius's brutal secret that weak people fear. The ancient secret strong people never talk about. Best. What Marcus Aurelius did every morning. Most fear this. The brutal Stoic truth that changes everything. 7 hidden lessons from the most powerful man in history. Main text. The brutal secret. Subtext. Weak people fear this. Background. Deep charcoal. #1A1A1A. Text color. Gold. #D4AF37. Visual element. A classical stone bust or artistic illustration of Marcus Aurelius on one side, with cracked stone texture behind it suggesting ancient strength. Not a photograph, a dramatic artistic render. Emotion. Intimidation mixed with deep curiosity. The viewer should feel they are about to be told something they were not supposed to know. Contrast tip. Place the bust slightly off-center to the right. Stack the gold text bold on the left. The asymmetry creates visual tension that forces the eye to move across the thumbnail and increases dwell time before clicking. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire in history, and he did it using a secret so brutal that most people refuse to accept it even when they hear it. This video reveals all 7 of them. Wisdom Empire breaks down the hidden daily practices of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor whose private journals became the most studied philosophy of mental strength in the world. From negative visualization to radical ownership, from choosing difficulty on purpose to using death as a clarifying force, these are the 7 secrets that built an unbreakable mind, and they work exactly the same way today as they did 2,000 years ago. If you want the mindset of the strongest person who ever lived, this video is your starting point. Timestamps: 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Hook: 0 minutes, 30 seconds. Introduction: 2 minutes. Secret 1. Choose difficulty on purpose. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Secret 2. Negative visualization. 7 minutes. Secret 3. Obstacles become the way. 9:30. Secret 4. Radical ownership. 12 o'clock. Secret 5. Measure against yourself. 14:30. Secret 6. Memento mori. 17 o'clock. Secret 7. Never stop working on yourself. 19 o'clock. Outro. Hashtag Stoicism. Hashtag Marcus Aurelius. Hashtag Mindset. Hashtag Motivation. Hashtag Self-Improvement. Hashtag Mental Strength. Hashtag Wisdom Empire. Marcus Aurelius Brutal Secret. Marcus Aurelius Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius Lessons for Life. Marcus Aurelius Meditations Explained. What Marcus Aurelius taught about strength. Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius Motivation. Self-improvement. Mindset. Marcus Aurelius Morning Routine Stoic Practice. How Marcus Aurelius dealt with failure. Stoic philosophy for modern life. What weak people fear about Stoicism. Lessons from Meditations Marcus Aurelius. Einzelgänger. Ryan Holiday Stoicism. Daily Stoic. Marcus Aurelius Philosophy Channel. Stoic Wisdom for Success. Marcus Aurelius chose difficulty every morning before the world had a chance to choose it for him. He visualized the worst so nothing could break his focus. He owned everything so nothing could own him. That is not a historical lesson. That is a blueprint for your life right now. The next video will show you the one Stoic practice that Marcus Aurelius used specifically to eliminate fear, and it takes 60 seconds to learn. Watch that next. And if you want to keep building the kind of mind that empires are made of, join this empire. The people here are not passive watchers. They are builders. This is Wisdom Empire, and the strongest version of you has not been built yet.